True fulfillment does not lie in the pursuit of external achievements or the accumulation of things. It is not found in status, possessions, or even in the validation of others. These are fleeting shadows, temporary forms that arise and pass away. When we attach our sense of self to them, we set ourselves up for inevitable suffering, because all forms are impermanent. Look within. Beneath the restless mind, beyond the ever-changing emotions, there is a stillness, a presence that has been with you throughout every moment of your life. It is not shaped by your experiences, nor is it diminished by your challenges. It is the essence of who you are, untouched by the noise of the world. This is the inner source of true fulfillment. It is the silent awareness that observes your thoughts and feelings without judgment. It is the consciousness that remains when all distractions are gone. When you connect with this space, you no longer seek fulfillment outside of yourself, because you realize you are already whole. Allow yourself to be present. Feel the aliveness within your body, the breath as it flows in and out. Notice the stillness between your thoughts. In this presence, there is no lack, no need to chase after anything. In this presence, fulfillment is not something to be gained. It is recognized as your natural state. True fulfillment is found within, not in external achievements or possession. This truth is often overlooked because we are conditioned to believe that happiness and contentment come from what we can acquire, achieve, or experience in the world around us. From a young age, we are taught to seek approval, success, and security through external means. We chase after careers, relationships, status, and material possessions, believing that once we have enough of these things, we will finally feel complete. Yet, no matter how much we accumulate or achieve, the sense of lasting fulfillment seems to elude us. This is because everything external is temporary and subject to change. Possessions age and lose their value. Achievements fade into the past. Relationships evolve or end. And even our own physical bodies are impermanent. When we anchor our sense of self or happiness to these ever-changing forms, we inevitably experience anxiety, dissatisfaction, and fear of loss. The mind becomes trapped in a cycle of wanting, acquiring, and then fearing the loss of what has been gained. This cycle leads to a restless existence, always chasing the next thing that promises happiness, but never fully arriving at it. The reason for this is simple. External things can never provide what they are not designed to give. They can bring temporary pleasure, comfort, or excitement, but they cannot provide the deep sense of fulfillment and peace that we truly seek. This is because true fulfillment arises from within, from the realization of who we are, beyond the roles we play and the things we possess. It comes from connecting with the essence of our being, which is not defined by circumstances or material forms. When we look within and become present to our own consciousness, the awareness that observes our thoughts and experiences, we find a space of stillness and completeness. This presence is not dependent on anything outside of us. It is not impacted by success or failure, gain or loss. It simply is. This realization is liberating because it frees us from the constant striving and seeking that the mind is accustomed to. We begin to see that we are already whole, and nothing external can add or take away from that wholeness. In this state of inner fulfillment, we are able to engage with the world more fully and joyfully. We can pursue goals, enjoy relationships, and appreciate experiences without clinging to them or fearing their loss. Our actions become expressions of the fulfillment we already feel within, rather than attempts to fill a perceived void. This shift changes our entire approach to life. We are no longer seeking happiness outside of ourselves, but are bringing our inherent joy and peace into whatever we do. True fulfillment is a state of being, not a state of having. It arises when we realize that who we are is deeper than our thoughts, possessions, or achievements. It is found in the present moment, in the silent awareness that underlies all experiences. This inner source of fulfillment is always available, waiting to be recognized amidst the noise and distractions of the external world. Attachment to temporary forms leads to suffering, as all forms are impermanent. This truth is at the core of human experience, yet it is often misunderstood or overlooked. We live in a world of constant change, where everything that arises eventually passes away. Our bodies age, possessions wear out, relationships evolve, and circumstances shift. Despite knowing this on an intellectual level, we tend to cling to things, people, and experiences, hoping they will provide a sense of security and permanence. This clinging is the root of much of our suffering. When we attach our identity or happiness to something that is by nature impermanent, we set ourselves up for inevitable pain. This is because the object of our attachment will at some point change or disappear. If we derive our sense of self-worth from our career, what happens if we lose that job or retire? If we base our happiness on our relationship, how do we cope when the dynamics of that relationship shift? If we identify with our physical appearance, how do we face the natural process of aging? The more tightly we cling, the more intense the suffering when change occurs. This is not to say that we should not enjoy or appreciate the things and people in our lives. Rather, it is about recognizing their temporary nature and not depending on them for our sense of self or fulfillment. When we are attached, we do not truly enjoy or experience things as they are. Instead, we are caught in a state of fear and desire, fear of losing what we are attached to, and desire for it to remain the same or provide continuous pleasure. This inattention keeps us from fully living in the present moment. Attachment arises from the ego's need to define itself through external factors. The ego is the part of us that constantly seeks identity in form, in possessions, achievements, roles, and relationships. It says, I am this or I have that, and it feels threatened when these forms are challenged or lost. But forms are inherently unstable and transient. By identifying with them, we create a false sense of self that is vulnerable and constantly in need of validation and security. Freedom from attachment begins with awareness. When we observe our thoughts and emotions without identifying with them, we create a space between ourselves and our attachments. We begin to see that the need to cling comes from the mind, not from the deeper essence of who we are. In this space of awareness, we can appreciate and engage with life without trying to possess or control it. We can love others without turning them into objects of dependency. We can pursue goals without fearing failure or loss. By understanding the impermanent nature of all forms, we learn to let go gracefully when it is time to do so. This does not mean indifference or detachment in a cold sense, but rather a deep acceptance of the flow of life. It means embracing each moment fully while allowing it to pass when its time is up. In this way, we experience life with a sense of freedom and lightness, no longer burdened by the fear of change or loss. Inner peace arises from connecting with a stillness beyond thoughts and emotions. In our daily lives, we are often consumed by a constant stream of thoughts, worries, and emotional reactions. The mind races from one concern to another, planning for the future or replaying events from the past. This mental noise creates a state of restlessness and anxiety, disconnecting us from the present moment and the peace that is inherently available within it. Yet, beneath this mental activity, there is a deeper dimension of stillness, a place of awareness that is untouched by the fluctuations of the mind. This stillness is not something that needs to be created. It is already present. It is the background against which all thoughts and emotions arise and fade away. Just as the sky remains unchanged regardless of the passing clouds, this inner stillness remains constant, no matter how turbulent our thoughts or emotions may be. It is the silent witness that observes without judgment. When we learn to connect with this stillness, we find a peace that is not dependent on external circumstances or the ever-changing contents of the mind. The key to accessing this inner peace is presence, being fully here and now. Most of our suffering arises from resisting the present moment, either by wishing things were different or by being lost in mental projections about the future or past. When we bring our attention to the present, we interrupt this cycle of resistance and open ourselves to the peace that is always here, beneath the surface of our thoughts. This can be as simple as focusing on the sensation of the breath entering and leaving the body, feeling the aliveness in our hands, or listening to the sounds around us without labeling them. In this state of presence, thoughts may still arise, but they lose their grip on us. We see them for what they are, fleeting mental constructs with no inherent power unless we identify with them. Emotions, too, are observed as passing energy forms that do not define who we are. This detachment does not mean suppression or avoidance, but rather an acceptance of whatever arises without becoming entangled in it. We learn to allow thoughts and emotions to come and go, anchored in the awareness that watches them. Connecting with this inner stillness requires no special technique or belief system. It simply involves recognizing that the essence of who we are is not the voice in our heads, but the awareness that hears it. This realization brings a profound sense of freedom because it liberates us from the prison of overthinking and emotional reactivity. We are no longer at the mercy of every passing thought or feeling. Instead, we rest in a deeper presence that remains calm and unshaken. As we deepen our connection with this stillness, we begin to carry it with us into all aspects of life. Challenges and difficulties are still encountered, but they do not overwhelm us because we respond from a place of clarity and peace. This inner stillness becomes a sanctuary, a source of strength and wisdom that guides us through the ups and downs of existence. It allows us to engage with life fully and joyfully, free from the compulsive need to control or resist what is. Presence in the now reveals the wholeness and fulfillment of your true self. In each moment, there is an opportunity to experience a depth of being that is often overlooked because our minds are preoccupied with thoughts about the past or the future. We habitually live in memories of what has been or in anticipation of what is yet to come, missing the richness of the present moment. Yet the only place where life truly unfolds is here and now. When we bring our attention fully to the present, we discover a sense of aliveness and completeness that is not dependent on any external condition. This state of presence is not about doing, but about being. It involves stepping out of the constant stream of thinking and simply being aware of what is, without labeling or judging it. This awareness is pure consciousness, untouched by the narrative of the mind. In this space of presence, there is no need to search for fulfillment, because fulfillment is already here. The feeling of lack or incompleteness arises only when we are lost in thought, identifying with the mind's endless desires and fears. When we are present, we realize that nothing is missing. We are whole as we are. One of the obstacles to experiencing this wholeness is the mind's resistance to the present moment. It constantly seeks to escape the now by projecting into an imagined future or dwelling on a remembered past. This creates an illusion of incompleteness, as if fulfillment lies somewhere other than where we are. The mind tells stories of when and if only. When I achieve this, then I will be happy. When I achieve this, then I will be at peace. So these thoughts pull us away from the present, keeping us trapped in a cycle of wanting and dissatisfaction. However, the future is merely a mental construct, a projection of thought. The past, too, exists only as a memory, a story created by the mind. The only reality is now. When we fully realize this, we stop postponing our happiness and start embracing life as it is, moment by moment. This acceptance is not resignation or passivity, but a deep alignment with the flow of life. It allows us to respond to situations with clarity and intelligence, unclouded by mental resistance. To experience this presence, it is helpful to bring attention to the sensory experiences of the now. Feel the breath as it moves in and out of your body. Notice the sensations in your hands, the sounds around you, or the feeling of your feet touching the ground. These sensory anchors bring awareness out of the mind and into the present moment. In this state, thoughts may still come and go, but they no longer dominate your consciousness. You become the observer, the awareness, in which all experiences arise and fade away. In this presence, you are not identified with your thoughts or emotions. They are seen as passing phenomena, like clouds moving across the sky. You realize that you are not the content of your mind, but the space in which it all happens. This shift in identity from the thinking mind to the observing awareness reveals a deeper dimension of yourself that is untouched by external circumstances. This is the essence of who you are, peaceful, whole, and complete. When you live in this state of presence, you no longer seek fulfillment outside of yourself because you recognize that you are already fulfilled. Actions are no longer driven by fear, desire, or a sense of lack. Instead, they arise naturally from the joy of being. This changes the way you interact with the world. You engage with life more fully and authentically because you are no longer trying to get something from it. Your relationships become more harmonious because you are no longer seeking validation or approval. You are able to give freely from a place of inner abundance. This wholeness is not an experience that comes and goes, but an ever-present reality that is always accessible when you are fully here and now. It is the fulfillment of simply being, beyond all concepts and conditions. When you connect with this dimension of yourself, you realize that nothing external can add to or take away from who you truly are. The search for fulfillment ends because you have discovered it at its source, within the presence of your own being. Actions flow effortlessly when rooted in inner peace, free from fear and desire. In the usual state of human consciousness, actions are often driven by the restless mind, which is perpetually caught up in wanting, fearing, and striving. This creates a sense of tension and struggle because the mind is constantly projecting into the future, seeking outcomes that it believes will bring fulfillment or security. However, when actions are motivated by fear or desire, they carry with them an underlying sense of lack or incompleteness. This not only creates stress and anxiety, but also affects the quality and effectiveness of what we do. True inner peace arises when we are no longer identified with the mind's compulsive thinking and emotional reactions. This state of peace is not dependent on external circumstances, but comes from connecting with the stillness within, the silent awareness that observes all experiences without judgment. When we are anchored in this inner stillness, our actions are no longer driven by fear or desire, because we are not seeking to complete ourselves through outcome. We recognize that we are already whole and that nothing outside of us can add to or diminish this wholeness. From this state of inner peace, actions flow effortlessly and spontaneously. There is no internal resistance or struggle because we are aligned with the present moment rather than resisting or manipulating it to suit our desires. This alignment brings a sense of ease and grace to everything we do. It allows us to respond to situations with clarity and intelligence because our perception is not clouded by fear, anxiety, or the need to control outcomes. We act from a place of presence and awareness, guided by intuition and insight rather than conditioned thought patterns. In this state, creativity flourishes because the mind is not preoccupied with worry or self-doubt. Ideas and solutions come naturally, without forcing or overthinking. This is because creativity arises from the space of stillness, where infinite possibilities exist. When we are present and connected to this space, we tap into a deeper intelligence that goes beyond the limitations of analytical thinking. This is why many artists, scientists, and visionaries report that their greatest insights and breakthroughs occurred when they were in a state of relaxed awareness, free from mental noise. Moreover, actions that come from inner peace are inherently harmonious because they are not motivated by egoic desires or fears. They are aligned with the flow of life, benefiting not only ourselves but also those around us. There is no sense of competition or comparison because we are not trying to prove ourselves or protect a fragile self-image. This creates an atmosphere of cooperation and mutual support, leading to more meaningful and fulfilling interactions and collaborations. This effortless flow is often referred to as being in the zone or in the flow state, where time seems to dissolve and there is a feeling of oneness with the activity. In this state, there is no separation between the doer and the action. Everything happens naturally and spontaneously. This is because the actions are not coming from the egoic mind, but from a deeper dimension of consciousness that is connected to the totality of life. This state of flow is not rare or mystical. It is our natural state of being when we are present and free from the compulsive need to control or resist life. When actions are rooted in inner peace, they are also more effective and impactful because they carry the power of presence. There is no wasted energy in mental conflict or resistance, and we are fully engaged in what we are doing. This presence brings a quality of attention and care to our actions that is felt by others. It creates a ripple effect of peace and harmony because our actions are not contributing to the collective fear and desire that drive much of human behavior. True fulfillment is the joy of existence itself, recognized in the present moment. Most people spend their lives searching for happiness and fulfillment in external things, achievements, possessions, relationships, and experiences. They believe that once they acquire or accomplish enough, they will feel complete. Yet even after attaining these goals, the sense of lack or dissatisfaction often remains. This is because true fulfillment is not found in external forms, which are temporary and constantly changing. It is found in the very experience of being alive, in the awareness that underlies all thoughts, emotions, and sensory perceptions. This joy of existence is not dependent on any particular condition. It is a simple appreciation of being here, of experiencing life in this moment. It is a state of presence where the mind is no longer consumed by thoughts of the past or the future. When we are fully present, we realize that nothing is missing because we are connected to the aliveness of the now. This joy is subtle but profound, arising from a sense of unity with life itself. It is the peace that comes from recognizing that we are not separate from existence, but are an integral part of it. The mind, however, is conditioned to seek fulfillment outside of the present moment. It creates stories about the future, imagining that happiness will come when certain conditions are met. It clings to memories of the past, hoping to recreate experiences that brought temporary pleasure. This mental activity keeps us trapped in a state of dissatisfaction because it prevents us from experiencing the fullness of life as it is right now. The mind's search for fulfillment is endless because it is based on the illusion that joy comes from outside sources rather than from within. When we shift our attention away from the mind's narratives and into the present moment, we discover a depth of being that is untouched by circumstances. This is the joy of simply existing, of being aware and alive. It is felt most strongly in moments of stillness when the mind becomes quiet and we are fully immersed in the now. This joy is not an emotion or a high. It is a state of peace and contentment that is always present beneath the surface of our thoughts and feelings. This realization transforms our relationship with life. We no longer depend on external events or achievements for our sense of fulfillment. We can engage with the world, pursue goals, and enjoy experiences without attaching our identity or happiness to them. This frees us from the fear of loss and the anxiety of wanting, because we recognize that true fulfillment is already within us. Our actions become expressions of this inner joy, rather than attempts to find it outside. This changes the quality of everything we do, bringing a sense of lightness and playfulness to our lives. When we live from this state of presence, we find beauty and wonder in the simplest things: a flower, a breeze, a smile. We become aware of the interconnectedness of all life and feel a deep gratitude for each moment of existence. This gratitude is not based on having or achieving, but on the recognition of life itself as a miracle. It is the joy of being, free from conditions and expectations. It arises from the awareness that who we are is not defined by our possessions, accomplishments, or experiences, but by the consciousness that experiences them. True fulfillment is found not in the pursuit of external achievements or possessions, but in the realization of our own being. It arises from a state of presence, where we are fully aware of the now, free from attachment to fleeting forms and untouched by the restless mind's desires and fears. When we connect with the stillness within, we discover an inner peace that allows us to engage with life effortlessly, without struggle or resistance. In this state, our actions flow naturally from a place of wholeness, guided by intuition and clarity. We no longer seek validation or happiness outside of ourselves, because we recognize that we are already complete. This understanding transforms our experience of life, allowing us to live with joy, gratitude, and a deep sense of interconnectedness. By embracing the present moment and recognizing the essence of who we truly are, we find the inner source of true fulfillment that no external circumstance can give or take away.